Hey guys, welcome to Social Studies for Monday, July 13th? I just realized on the ELA video I had the date wrong. I think I said July 10th. I meant July 13th. My bad. That's what today is. I'm recording this on July 10th. That's why I got confused. Alright, well, anyway, welcome back for Social Studies. If you haven't yet seen the ELA video I posted, I definitely recommend you do that one also today. Most of you, or you all, should have done that first. But if not, just go back and watch the ELA video I posted as well, even though it mistakenly says July 10th. My bad. All right, for social studies today, as you can tell, we are going to be working in Edmentum again. You did great on your civil rights timeline project. The videos were awesome. The paragraphs you wrote were incredible. I am going to put all those videos together and we'll share our timeline. I'll give you a link you can share to your friends and family, and they'll be able to see our class's work and to celebrate your great research on those topics. Okay, but starting today with social studies, we are back in Edmentum. So, edmentum.maestrosys.com. And remember, you use your student ID number and then your birthday as your password. Some of you, for your password, had to take away the first zero. Most of you, your regular birthday as a password worked. If your password isn't working, just don't forget you might have to erase the first zero and try again. All right, once you log in, and look at this, the website changed the picture of the lady. At least they put a picture of a dude because that's more like me. Not exactly. Ooh, nice beard though. I will say I do have a beard like that, and I like his shirt. A nice blue and white striped shirt. That's pretty nice. I'm digging that. But anyway, they changed the picture. Okay, you're gonna scroll down, and go to social studies. We are again going to launch our social studies course. Okay. It does take forever to load, but hopefully yours goes through. And remember, we are down here on social studies. Now, I did skip a few lessons, so I want you to go ahead all the way until you find, maybe you didn't do them all, that's okay, because I even skipped some, day 10. Day 10 is called, for social studies, Decade of Change, Part 1. This is where we're going to pick up, regardless if you didn't complete the earlier ones. The Decade for Change lesson is all about the 1960s. So, question for you. How many years ago was 1960 if we're currently in the year 2020? A little math problem. 2020 minus 1960. Well, yes, I bet you got it. You got it. Yep, most of you got, I can guess most of you got it. All right, what you do is subtract 20 and you get to 2000. So that's 20 years ago, the year 2000. And then you have to go back another 40 to get from 2000 to 1960. So you went back 20 to get to 2000, then you went back another 40 to get to 1960. So we're talking 60 years ago. For some of you, that may be the age of your great grandparents, maybe possibly even probably your grandparents actually. Yep. So 60 years ago was the time of the 1960s. It was a decade. A decade just means 10 years, where our country changed very much, made a lot of changes. You already learned about the civil rights movement, a lot of which took place and a lot of progress in the 1960s. There were other fights for equality going on as well. And the decade, 1960s, opens with this president, John F. Kennedy, in the White House. And we're going to see a couple other presidents throughout the decade, a lot of them who helped work on issues of equality. All right. For the lesson, however, you're going to do two things. First is this link here, Networks, the United States. And second is a Brain Pop video about the president, John F. Kennedy. All right, but first, When you click this link, go to Unit 6, The Modern Era, Lesson 2. Whoop, and click it. This is similar to what you did in the civil rights movement on the same website. Okay. We're going to launch Grade 5 Social Studies. And here we are again. You might remember this screen. We are still doing Unit 6, The Modern Era. The Modern Era. An era just means a time period. Okay? We finished Lesson 1 on the civil rights. We're going to Lesson 2, A Decade of Change. So that's the one it wants us to click. Now, you can preview these pictures. That's just going to tell you what's coming up. For example, yes, the Peace Corps was created, where volunteers can go and help children in other countries. Fidel Castro, Nikita Khrushchev. Yep, 2 world leaders. This man Fidel in Cuba and this man Khrushchev in Russia, or back then it was called the Soviet Union. Anyway, all of this you're going to learn about later on in the lesson. But for now, you click My Lesson up here, and it launches this little page. And let me try to get it in the screen. Here we are. United States Modern Times. As you can tell, it's in a new window. It has questions for you to answer, such as, how did the 1960s society change? Do you have any guesses? Well, you can already talk about it was when the civil rights movement, ... Maybe you could say something you learned about that in 1964 and 1965. Then has a lot to read, all about President Kennedy and what he wanted to do. A main thing he did was start the Peace Corps. Yes, you can answer why. It says, why was the Peace Corps created? I want you to do pages 1 and 2. So you save your answers and you go to number 2. All right, I'll save my answers. And number 2 is a little bit more about history, a time period called the Cold War. When I come back to you on Tuesday, I am going to ask you about this time period, the Cold War, so please make sure you read through this. One of the main questions I'm going to ask is, why was it called cold? Was it a war fought somewhere that's freezing all the time? Not exactly. And actually, to give you a little bit of good news, it wasn't really a war at all, without all that much fighting here in the USA at least. So anyway, we're going to talk all about this part of history, the 1960s, as our next topic. So, quick recap. In Edmentum, go to Social Studies Launch Course. In Social Studies, click to Day 10, and Day 10 is called Decade of Change. Once you launch Decade of Change, click Networks. In Networks, you go to Unit 6, Lesson 2, and launch My Lesson. And then you do the first 2 pages and answer the questions. That's it, folks, as we zoom in on President Kennedy's forehead for no reason. Alright, or we zoom in this other dude in the background. He looks bored. Well, this guy's slightly less bored, but maybe a little more angry. Ooh, and he's in charge. He gets a gavel. He gets the hammer that you bang on the desk when people are speaking out of turn. Well, look at that fancy microphone. Ooh, so 1960s. That was like those microphones they used for the radio back in the old days. They didn't have no fancy microphones built into cell phones. Actually, they didn't even have a cell phone. Wouldn't be invented till way later. Anyway, so that's going to be your lesson for social studies. It's Day 10 in Edmentum, Social Studies. Alright, you can rewind and watch this video if anything was confusing, but that's all you got to get done. One other announcement about our 1 p.m. activity today. It's Monday, so the 1 p.m. activity is independent reading. You guys can pick up a book, a magazine, or a website of your choice and do some independent reading. Make sure to log your minutes in the ELA journal. So once again, you go to Class Notebook in Teams, ELA journal, and there's a document called Reading Log. At the end of the summer, I'm going to count up who had the most minutes logged. You can do this any day you read. Go in and say, hey, I read a magazine for 20 minutes today. Log it in your reading log in your ELA journal on Class Notebook. Every Monday, you've got to log your 1 p.m. activity, just in case you did it. And that's it. At the end of the summer, we'll see who maybe had the most minutes logged for a little prize. That's social studies. Sorry I couldn't be with you today. I'm having an awesome trip visiting my parents up in New York. And that's all. I will talk to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for ELA class. Peace.